Okay.
Why'd you get rid of that, babe?
You want to put it back on?
Well, I don't need to tell you guys who we are. We're, Whole Foods, and these are, some of our books. This collection down here is
Storing America.
for Crown Jewel Farms here in Lake Wales. We did some custom recipe books for them, and then Nancy, this is the first series of books we wrote a few years back. I just updated the Cooking for American Youth. Those are our two, number 2 and number 3 grandsons. And then this is the series of cancer books I did this year. One is the I Beat Cancer, Prostate Cancer, which is basically kind of what I did to, just get over it, get through it. And then people kept asking me about a protocol, and I didn't have a protocol. And I'll get into some of what I did in a minute. So I decided I'd go ahead and just kind of document what I did and call it a protocol. It's a short run. And then this last one is my survival journey, which is really a 10-year diary, almost, at least, every few days for the first 10 years that I went through. And it says just pretty much everything I did. So as far as dietary, my research, the dietary efforts, our road trip, our 2 plant-based holistic cruises, and so on. So it just basically is a diary, a journal. And then this is is most of that are watching this. This whole thing started in May 2010, and Nancy was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 1995, Epstein-Barr virus, chronic fatigue. She had all kinds of problems, and she had a 50% heart blockage, and all that has been reversed. And our linchpins, as far as our research goes, Charlotte Gerson was my hero. She got me started, and the Gerson Miracle is a DVD that I recommend to everybody. You can download it for free. You don't have to buy it anymore. It's up for free. It's a little old as far as being old. It's about 12 years old now, but it's still an excellent approach. And that's pretty much the path I followed. Then Dr. Dean Ornish was really, influential. Dr. Neil Barnard, who we work with, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine up in Virginia. We have manned their booths here when they do health fairs here in Orlando and in the area. And then Dr. John McDougall, the Starch Solution. He is just instrumental too.
Gib?
Yeah.
Gib, I'm sorry. Someone mentioned that they cannot hear you.
I'm sorry.
Someone mentioned in the chat that they cannot hear you.
You can't hear
I think
me?
you're supposed to
No,
send
I can, but someone else.
It's Margie
Margie
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
No, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do at my end to turn on your sound.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
on her.
I don't know.
Go in the
Maybe
upper
she-
right-hand corner of your screen if you're running Windows, and you should see some drop downs to turn on the speaker.
Or maybe she can try logging off and joining again.
That's true too. So anyway, Dr. Neil Barnard was very influential they've got all kinds of wonderful programs, and that was part of our research. And then Dr. Colby Esselton, we met on one of our holistic holiday at sea cruises. Nancy's talked to him a couple times. She actually, this doctor, he's amazing because you can actually call him and leave a message, and he will return your call. You don't have to be Chef Nancy to get a call back. And he is an amazing gentleman, lovely gentleman. He is really focused on heart and arterial disease, and he got the whole ball game rolling. He was very influential in all this no oil stuff. That didn't used to exist before him. And we agree with the no oil approach if you have severe arterial or heart problems. But other than that, essential oils are pretty important.
Which doctor was that?
I'm sorry?
Which doctor? Which doctor was that?
Yeah, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. He's
Oh,
just really a wonderful man. But he focuses on heart disease. And then of course the classic is T. Colin Campbell, who is also we've met and is a wonderful man. One of the first books I read when I started this research was the China Study. And of course his classic Forks Over Knives are two books that are foundation principles in this whole plant-based movement, plant-based, lifestyle diet. And then Michael Greger is just a funny guy. He's great. His one of his first books is How Not to Die. Now, how great a title is that? And he focuses on general nutritional health. And I don't want to focus just on cancer because that was my story. That was my background. But this whole approach is a wonderful way to reverse diabetes, like Dr. Neil Barnard promotes. He also has a very informative website he has a whole separate section for prostate cancer and different forms of cancer, diabetes. But Dr. Michael Greger, this book is funny, it's to the point, and it's really, really wonderful. And then Dr. Hans Deal basically wrote a book. It focuses on the blue zones and the CHIP Health Improvement Program. The blue zones, in case you don't know or didn't know, are basically zones. There's 8 of them all around the world, and there's only one in the USA, which is in Loma Linda, California. And there is one in China. There's one in Japan, and I think there's one in Italy, and so on. So they're areas of the world where people follow a primarily plant-based lifestyle diet, and they live and work into their hundreds. And I've got a couple slides on that later on. And it is just some good research, good foundation, and it's really, really amazing, and just the proof in the pudding that how this lifestyle can be improved. I like to focus on nutrition, and the human body is a microbiome. It's so complex you can't possibly imagine. You are basically a storage locker for trillions of microbial cells and organisms that are not part of you. Okay, they aren't your cells, your body. They're microbial cells and organisms that inhabit your entire inside and your outside, your nose, your eyes, everything. They represent more than 70% of your natural immune system. These are your combat warriors. They have more than 150 times of the genetic material that is you. In other words, you have so much genetic material like an earthworm, okay? But all this genetic material of all these microbial systems, they're 150 times more than what is you as far as genetics. And then the amazing interaction, synergistic operation, was not even discovered or researched until 2006. So science didn't even recognize this at all. More than 50% or more of your molecules floating around in your blood that represent you to be human are made and manufactured in your gut, okay, from the food you eat. So when you are sick or just don't feel great, this can be an indication of dysbiosis or just messed up gut, okay? It can be traced back to your nutrition and lifestyle choices. In other words, you are really what you eat, okay? And the standard American diet is full of mostly crap, sodas and fast food and stuff like this, oils and cheese and meat but very few rice, beans, and fruits. When you eat plant-based, you're filling up your gut, but you're not eating all the junk. And there's almost no fiber in a standard American diet. And most people are just accustomed to having headaches and digestive problems, getting the flu every year, twice a year, getting a cold and joint pain, allergies and asthma, and and so on and so forth. Or not. Nancy and I have hardly been ill in the past, almost 14 years. A couple times we get a little flu or something like this. There's folks chatting. Let's see. I can't help there. Too much medications. Every time you go to the doctor, he gives you another pill. But nobody ever looks or examines the side effects. Okay. The pills, the first thing you want to give you is antibiotics, which destroy the very gut bacteria that is you and is your immune system. And they're more counterproductive. Some antibiotics are valuable for short periods of time, but most people just are inundated with them. And the side effects of all these other drugs, read the labels, do the research. They can cause liver failure, kidney failure, all kinds of terrible, horrendous things. Nobody ever, go to a doctor and ask him to define health. He can't do it. Okay. Detroit Wayne State University is the only medical school that actually mandates plant nutrition program. Doctors don't have a clue, on dietary nutrition. They don't have a clue. And most of them eat lousy diets. Just look at them. They're overweight. Their complexion is terrible. The doctors tell me I look better than them. And again, food is medicine. We can actually change our genome by eating the proper foods. There's 500 genes you can change in 3 months. Excuse me. Remember, genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. There's so many toxic food and all these things, and you've been raised on them, and you don't, have none of this stuff has very limited fiber, very, very limited. Where the fiber is in beans and rice and vegetables and fruit is what pushes all this junk through your system. Complex carbs over simple carbs. It's really, the brown rice, the dark breads, the nut breads, and stuff like this, the rice and potatoes and beans and corn and so on and so forth are highly complex, and they don't really are not fat producing like white flour and sugar and cheesy potato chips and white rice. There's nothing wrong with white rice, but brown rice is better. It just takes longer to cook. Then we have GMOs, genetically modified organisms. These are things that the scientists have taken, basic food products like corn, soy, sugar beets, and papaya, and they've modified the genetic structures. They bred them and crossbred them, and so they're naturally immune to Roundup. So they saturate these things with Roundup, and it won't kill them. It'll kill all the weeds around them and kill all the plants in the fields. But people don't realize that there's residual of Roundup in, if you are eating GMO corn or soybeans, there's residual of toxic poisons on this stuff. Now there's a brand new term now, and they're still coming up with, warnings and everything else. Now it's bioengineered. It's not genetically modified. Genetically modified is derived from crossbreeding. You take one corn, cross it with this one and that one. Some of that happens naturally, but they artificially do it in the laboratory. This stuff, they've actually gone in and changed it chemically, mechanically, changed what the thing is. And it can't be created naturally through crossbreeding, or it cannot be found in nature. If you want to avoid bioengineered foods, try and buy food products that are certified organic. They're a little more expensive, but they're getting cheaper all the time, and they're getting more common because the demand is there. The public is demanding better quality food. So the bioengineered foods today are alfalfa, apples, Arctic varieties, canola, corn, cotton, eggplant, papaya, all these different things. Not every one that you find in the store, but they are making bioengineered foods in these categories. 90% of most grocery stores are stocked with GMO foods, or genetically modified foods. And so look for the non-GMO labels, okay? No GMOs. And just in everything from your ice creams to whatever else. Now, naturally, we don't have dairy, but Breyers actually has an oat milk-based ice cream. It's really pretty good. We found one a section they had on BOGO, so buy one get one free. So we stocked up. So that's really good. So we have that for a treat every now and then. But there are certain foods you want to take time and read the labels. Look for the GMO. Look for non-GMO Project Verified, and try and stay away from these foods as much as possible. There's plant-based burgers. Some of them don't taste so bad. Some of them aren't great. Read the labels on them, and you can get an app on your phone, both Android and Apple, called Fujicate. You can download that, and it'll give you a total guide to what you're eating. You scan the barcode, and it'll tell you exactly what's in it, all the ingredients, the chemical basis, the percentage of everything. It's a fantastic tool, and get used to using it. If you're new to reading labels, it'll really be a big help. There's high protein and low carb is low fiber dieting. All this stuff about high protein, everybody's worried about protein. If you eat a whole food, plant-based lifestyle diet, it is impossible to be low in protein. There is no American, unless they're actually starved to death, that can be low in protein. They're either eating too much meat, which mean they're getting too much protein, or you can't get too much. Every vegetable has protein. Every single vegetable. So every time you eat a vegetable, you're eating protein. So don't worry about protein. It's a sales gimmick. It's just strictly sales, just trying to sell you a bag of crap. High protein, can really mess up your kidneys and liver. It messes up your lymphatic drainage. It's hard on your intestines. It's hard to digest, and it's so much of the standard American diet, and almost no protein, or almost no fiber. And this is a high protein diet, but it's no low fat and zero cholesterol. It's all green stuff. It's wonderful. 70% of your natural immune system, like I mentioned before, is in your gut. And the immune cells in your gut interact with the entire microbiome and every, communication system of your body. And they keep your body healthy. They produce the nutrients and the everything that makes you go. It takes 30 days to change your eating habits. Going from a non-plant-based to a plant-based lifestyle diet is not easy. It takes 30 days at least. The first 14 days it takes just to change your taste buds over. And because it takes that long. And then you're going to start actually tasting things without the fats and all the other artificial flavors and everything else. but you're going to start eating the berries and nuts and seeds and potatoes and all the wonderful array, variety. Keep in mind it's variety, and you'll lower your blood pressure almost immediately. Your cholesterol will normalize to get terrific. My total cholesterol is like 140. My triglycerides, I think, are like 22 or 24 or something like this. Your A1C, your blood sugar will come down. Your alkalinity, your body will become more alkaline, where it's very acidic in a high protein animal-based diet. And cancer cannot live in a alkaline body. It can't exist. There's so much, you need to be oil free, and you can veganize just about any menu. Matter of fact, one of our websites, Nancy has a Veganize Me page that you can write her and send her a recipe, and almost everything except a steak. Actually, she can veganize a steak by teaching you how to make seitan, which is a plant-based meat substitute. And you put them on the grill, it tastes like the most delicious sirloin steak you've ever had. You get all your vitamins and minerals from all this wonderful array of plants and fruits and vegetables. For the guys who might have issues with prostate or even prostate cancer like myself, tomatoes, especially cooked tomatoes, are great for the high lycopene content. So eat a lot of spaghetti. It's great with good tomato sauce. Excuse me. The one thing I have to caution everybody that they're going to a plant-based lifestyle diet. B12 is you can get B12 from a natural thing, but it's more difficult because the meat eating folks think they're eating meat and getting B12. Well, they're not, because B12 comes from the dirt. When a cow eats the grass, it's eating the dirt. The bacteria that produce B12 are in that dirt. So they're ingesting the dirt, that goes into their guts, produces B12 into the meat. But when animals are taken to slaughter, they're first taken to a feedlot where they're fed for usually about 30 to 45 days to so-called fatten them up. And they're grain fed. They're not grass fed. Okay, they start grass fed, they aren't after they hit the feedlot. And all that corn and all that feed they're given, the grains and everything else, are saturated with antibiotics to keep them, because they're packed in like sardines, and so they get sick. So they overfeed them with all their food is laced with antibiotics, which go into their meat. So if you eat a steak, you're eating antibiotics, which destroy your natural immune system. So don't do that. Greens and sprouts, not only delicious, but so very healthy. And we encourage people, especially older folks like us, you don't want to go out there digging in a garden on your knees and stuff like this. It's hard work. So we got opted to a vertical garden. We have 3 of these growing now on our back patio. That's in the lower right-hand corner here. And we have 2 more we're going to be putting out this fall as soon as it cools down a little bit. But it's great for growing greens. We grow almost all our greens, a variety of other stuff too. Man, it's so easy and cheap. Nuts and seeds, while they tend to be a little more high in calories, so they can be considered fattening, they're a great source of omega-3s. They're super high in protein. It helps lower cholesterol, and really kind of be help beneficial for type 2 diabetes. And again, fresh herbs, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic. They're just wonderful things. This is one of Nancy's pots where she grows herbs out on the back porch. She grows her own chives and everything else. We buy the organic herbs and spices. I think you can get these at Publix. You can get them. I think they sell them at Walmart. but basil's a blood purifier. For those who like cilantro, it's great for detoxification. We're not you. You either like cilantro or you don't, and we don't. We'll eat it a little bit if it's in a meal or something like this, but it's not our favorite herb. Mint, I love, and garlic. You can never get too much garlic. Again, your spice rack. Fresh ginger, turmeric, and ginger and garlic. You can never have too much garlic. Dried spices, just medicine in your food storage. That's the other thing on a whole food plant-based diet. You learn a variety of foods. You learn how to cook and prepare all these different meals, and they're usually under 30 minutes, sometimes under 20. So quick and easy. And you learn the seasonings, and not only are they healthy and just so nutritious, they taste wonderful. And you can get all the salt-free ones too. But there's one thing, you want to stay away from table salt. Yes, it is fortified with iodine, but you can get iodine from other sources. But Celtic sea salt or pink Himalayan salt is actually quite good for you because it's high in minerals. The table salt is basically all it is salt. There's very few minerals. We actually take the Celtic sea salt. We buy it by the big bags, and we'll put a pinch of it in our water bottles, and to help provide minerals all day long. And it helps because we exercise and we helps replenish the salt level in our body. Iodine-rich foods, quinoa, figs, walnuts, oats, so many other natural sources of rich in iron. Some certain leafy green vegetables can be helpful in iron too. And most multivitamins, excuse me, have iodine added. Almost every one of them do. Again, hydration. I never leave home without my water bottle. It's next to me all the time. That was good. You drink 10 glasses a day, and if your urine is nice and clear, you're drinking good enough water. If your urine tends to be dark, now it's going to be naturally dark in the mornings, but as you proceed during the day, it should lighten up, and so you should be in these 1 and 2 area, maybe 3, and that tells you you're getting enough water because you're flushing your body and you're getting rid of the toxins and the salts and everything else that just flushes everything out, and it keeps your skin hydrated, so your complexion is great, and you just look better. Beans. Oh, beans are one of the cheapest. That's if you talk about protein, it's in the beans. All kinds of beans and lentils. There are black beans, pinto beans, any kind of bean is absolutely amazing. Soybeans are super healthy. Don't let people tell you soy is bad for you. That's crazy. And if you want to more explanation on that, call me and we can discuss it. But this is a lentil steak that you put that on the grill. I'm telling you, you won't be able to tell it from it. It's better. It's lean. There's no fat, and it tastes delicious. You can make meatloaf. Enchiladas and all kinds of different chilies, hummus, which is nothing but beans and I'm sorry. Say something. Okay. Mushrooms are super healthy. Don't pick the ones yourself, because you don't really know what you're getting unless you're really an expert. But there's all portobellos are great on the grill. You can make mushroom pie, mushroom soup, add it to certain dishes, and it's super healthy. So many different recipes. Go back. One more. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can have such a variety of different meals. And this stuff is great for leftovers too. You can make black bean burgers. You can buy black bean burgers. You can make, strip steaks, all kinds of wonderful things. And there's Nancy has thousands of recipes on her Pinterest site. Oh, the benefits of soy. Again, like I said, people tell you soy is bad for you because of this, that, or the other, because of the soy estrogens. Well, soy is a plant-based estrogen. It has no bearing, no similarity, and no genetic impact on human estrogens. So this idea that it causes, breast cancer or prostate cancer and all, it's all bunk. So don't worry about it. Publix, for most of you are here in Florida, has great organic tofu over in their cold cases by their vegetables. They have extra firm, regular, and soft. So there's three or four kinds of tofu. The soft you use for mixes for sauces. The extra firm you can fry and add it to all kinds of different meals. That's amazing. These Butler soy curls, a lot of people don't know about them, and it's the only place you can get them is Butler out of I forget, Cupertino, California, someplace out over in California. But we buy these by the 50-pound bag, and then we break them up and put them in the freezer in smaller pouches. But these they're just amazing. You can rehydrate. They're basically dried soybeans, but you rehydrate these and you can put them in, replace the meat and fish in. They're great for Chinese dishes. They're just amazing. You season them a little bit with soy sauce and stuff like this, and they're fantastic. And pound for pound, they're almost all protein and some excellent source of fiber. And they're in pound for pound, they're dirt cheap, and that's why we buy them. So because the shipping costs get more expensive than anything else coming from California, so we buy the great big ones. People think we're nuts, but we have we put them in 1 pound bags or freezer bags and stick them in the freezer in the garage. Potatoes, love potatoes. Sweet potatoes are amazing. They have so many vitamins and just nutrients, but you can actually take a sweet potato and let it sprout, because it will naturally develop little eyes and start sprouting. And you can plant the sweet potato, or just an end of it, and grow it, and it grows into a wonderful green vine with large leaves that are absolutely delicious, and they're so healthy. You can't do that to a white potato. It'll grow greens, but they aren't healthy for you. But the sweet potato greens, they actually plant these in Asian countries, and just for the greens, not for the potatoes. It's amazing. We have had one growing, and I went out and harvested almost every morning and added it to my smoothie. They're sweet, they're tender, they're delicious. Kimchi is into the more fermented for natural probiotics. There's all kinds of wonderful things. Being from German stock, German heritage, I grew up on sauerkraut, so I love that, and I love my Clausen pickles. Kite Hill is great for silk for a plant-based yogurt, which is fermented. And then kimchis are very good. It's a developed taste. If you've never had kimchi, you can get those at an Oriental market. And I think you might even get them at Publix. I'm not sure if we can get them there or not. And then there's always the traditional things, the tofurkeys. We like Gardein. They're I think a better product. They have all kinds of things. They have ground, crumbles and ground beef. They have chicken. They have turkey. They have all kinds of stuff. And Earth Balance for a butter replacement. All kinds of quinoas and grains. And all these grains are really, really inexpensive, and they're super nutritious. Hellmann's has a really good vegan mayonnaise that is unrefrigerated. Vegenaise is a little more pricey. It's good. It's wonderful, but it's in the cold case if you can find it. And then there's the vegan non-dairy cheeses. They've gotten really much better over the last 15, 14 years. They weren't so great to start with, but they're quite good now. So the cream cheeses replacements, the vegan, they have sour cream replacers, and really, if you served it to a friend, they wouldn't know the difference. Whole wheat flours, all-purpose flours, they're really great too. Then you before and after, you have all the nasty stuff in your fridge, and after it's all veggies and fruits. So you can store these things in the freezer. You can, obviously, put things away. There's the super firm tofu I was mentioning, and the Kite Hill. I love the Kite Hill vanilla stuff.
Yep.
It's really good. Eating out, we like Mediterranean Grill here. It's over in Lake Wales on 27. It's really delicious. They're lovely people, and they have a good bit of their menu is vegan. So we get their basic sorted plate. Nancy we took pictures, but I didn't get them into the slide. But there are Thai Haven, season 52, you can order vegan meals. Even the Yard House, you can get a vegan meal. Used to be able to, at least, in a Thai restaurant. And then in a pinch, certain restaurants, you can get a decent meal. There's another app you can get called Happy Cow. And it'll tell you where the happy meals are anywhere in the world now. It's gone worldwide. It used to be just in the US and Canada. But you can look it up and find just vegan meals, vegetarian meals. And again, it tells you the restaurants that are strictly vegan, or the items on the menu that you can order that are plant-based or vegan. And you can do it even at Chipotle. And we used to go there pretty often. We don't do it so much. And then when you're traveling, you can carry these foods with you in the car, obviously, in a cooler. And almost every...
What's the name of the app?
Pardon?
What's the name of the app? Happy what?
Cow, Happy Cow.
Oh,
Happy Cow.
Happy Cow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. And then when you're traveling, you can easily package, some, herbs, fruits, and stuff like this. Put them in a cooler. Carry a couple of knives and forks with you. When we traveled, I wrote a book on our first road trip. I like writing, so I write a book about everything. And we were gone for 43 days and 10,000 miles all across the West, and which is difficult to do, trying to stay plant-based. But we did. And most of the hotel rooms we picked, we had small kitchenettes and full-size refrigerators, so we could stock them up and fill up the cooler and transfer it over, and then transfer it back in the morning and take off again. So it's not all that hard to do. I carried a little Bunsen burner with small little gas burner, and we had a couple pots and an electric coffee pot, and we were good to go. And again, we're back to some of the books that we recommend. Everything from Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. Michael Greger, and then China Study, Forks Over Knives, which is a great movie, as well as Eating You Alive is a good one too. And naturally, Nancy's first book, Restoring America's Health, which is basically an introduction to a plant-based lifestyle, and has several good recipes, but starter recipes. Mostly it's an explanation of what all this stuff is. What is tofu? What is all these things I've been talking about, and what you might hear mentioned? What is it? How to fix it? How to prepare it, and where to get it? And then again, exercise. Exercise is critical for so many things. Tai Chi, yoga. One of the first things I did when I started this journey way back in May of 2010. I started taking yoga and I fell in love with it. I haven't been able to find a decent yoga studio in Winter Haven, unfortunately. I did practice Tai Chi for a while as well. So it's really, really wonderful. We did find a great acupuncturist here in Winter Haven. Oh, she's wonderful and is super. She is she's an older lady, not quite as old as we are, but older lady, and been around a while. But she used to be a nurse, surgery nurse, which are really top end. And so, but she transitioned away from that and into totally holistic lifestyle. She's not plant-based, not yet. We're working on her. We'll see how it goes. Here's an example of, I'm talking about people who live. This Julia Hawkins picked up running when she was 100, not before, but when she turned 100, she started running marathons. Okay, she's now 103, still running. Okay, now Ruth Heydrich, wonderful lady. She's running. She is a cancer survivor. She's got a wonderful website. I don't know if I reference it anywhere in here, but Ruth is really terrific. You can contact her. She gives lectures as well. I think she's up on the East Coast. Oh, and here's the more about the blue zones. Oh yeah, Costa Rica, Greece, Okinawa, Sardinia, Italy. I knew there was one in Italy, and then Loma Linda. This gentleman is now passed on, but he didn't retire till he was 96 as a surgeon, and he passed away at 104. So there are people around the world who are and again, the plant-based. And again, this is the one decision I made early after my diagnosis, that quality of life is more important than life itself. I decided that if I was going to die, I was going to die, but I wasn't going to do the barbaric treatments. And that's why we took off on that road trip, because I thought I was going to be dead. And so that thought was going to be my last hurrah. After that, we went on dozens more for many, many years. We haven't been in a couple of years because everything's crazy out there right now. But find a good, flea market or farmers market near you. We have several. We're very fortunate to live in Florida. We have several wonderful ones. There's one up in Orlando. There's one over in Plant City. There's Auburndale, which is fantastic. That's where Nancy used to speak before the COVID craziness. There's one in Lake Wales we go to every Saturday morning. And so it's fresh food. Most of it's locally grown. Some of it obviously is imported, but it's usually much cheaper and fresher. It's not trucked in from God knows where. So I invite you to explore those and find one and get to know the people. And again, I mentioned Bach Towers earlier in our discussion before we got started. In Lake Wales, Florida is a great place to walk and to enjoy nature. And again, you can change but it takes 30 days and it takes work, it takes effort. And everything worthwhile in life takes effort, and everything worth anything takes effort. So these are wonderful ways. Nancy's her first book. And there's so many wonderful ways you can prepare meals, delicious, wonderful meals. And like I said, if you go to our main site, Whole Foods for Healthy Living or Healing, Health Healing, I have 30 different websites, folks. And in Nancy's Pinterest site, she has, I didn't count them, but a couple thousand at least. And they're all plant-based, and they're sorted out into for kids and for holidays and so on and so forth. But this is the series of books we coined for Restoring America's Health. And then those are my recent. This year I published the 3 in the cancer series. And that's it. So hopefully you made some sense out of this.